Welcome back to Flight Past. We are in the Huey today. We're flying around Fontainebleu. We're following Napoleon's route from Elba, and this is a series on Waterloo. Welcome to everybody who's watching. What we do in Flight Path is a little bit more than just flight simulation. We use the flight simulator to have a look at interesting historical times. So in previous streams, which you can check out on YouTube, now we've done D-Day. We looked at everything from the British airborne Operation Tonga on the eastern side of the Normandy landing beaches, all the way across to the American airborne operations. And then we did every single beach. We did Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword. And what it allows us to do, this simulator, it allows us to check out things like distances and topography, and how some parts, some terrain, even though on a map they don't look significant, they can be very significant relative to other parts. So the point of this section then is on Waterloo. So we're going to be following, we followed Napoleon's journey from Elba to Grenoble, and Grenoble to Lyon, and Lyon to Auxerre, and we're now at Fontainebleu. And what I wanted to try to show, because we're in the Huey, is the distances involved. This guy's a 45-year-old guy. The time from when he left Elba to the defeat at Waterloo is something, as I say, is in the clues in the title. It's like 100 days. It's called the 100 Days Campaign, and you can see, we'll see as well when we get to the part after Paris and when he moves to the Belgian border, the distances that they're doing, the sort of the forced marches that they're trying to make. And I wanted to sort of show, with the use of the helicopter and this and the flight simulator, just how these the actual distances themselves affect some of the decisions made during the campaign, the battle phase of the campaign later on. So if that sounds good to you, then give us a like, please. Very small. And I will try to do some more. Right, so we are in, as I say, Fontainebleu. That's so you're going to be in charge. When I'm looking at the map, you're supposed to be telling me I'm crashing. This is where we are at the moment. I'm just trying to find my cursor. There we go. This is Fontainebleu. So we've just flown over this that lake there, and we're just we're now pointing down this way here. We're just turned now, and you can see this, the way the River Seine revolves around, and you'll now see that this lake on the side is this one here. So that gives you a heads up of where we are. We are heading to Paris, which is just here. And what we'll do, we'll follow the river for now. I know I did this stream the other day, but the audio was messed up. I know that Paris has got photographic imagery, but it's since the update, there's been some issues with the with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, so some of it wasn't looking great. But we'll see if we can put up with it. So where were we talking about? We were talking about, so that was Fontainebleu. That was where Napoleon's come back to. That was because that was where he signed his exile, the treaty. Some people have asked why Wellington didn't come into France, meet Napoleon himself before Napoleon could get established. And one of the things was that the treaty. So the Treaty of Fontainebleu wasn't signed by the British because they didn't want to recognise Napoleon. The Congress of Vienna, after they discovered that he's left Elba, basically they tear up that previous treaty, the one that says he's an emperor of his own little island, and they basically say that you've come back here. They actually say, I think, in reappearing in France and projects of troubles and upheavals, he has deprived himself of the protection of the laws and manifested in the face of the universe that it cannot have peace with him. The powers declare that Napoleon Bonaparte is placed outside of civil and social relations, and that as an enemy and disturber of the peace of the world, he has delivered himself over to la Vindicat Publique. Now that means that the Allied powers have said that they're not going to be at war with France. They are going to be treating Napoleon as a criminal, as a common outlaw, basically. And so this has an impact on the way the Allies operate. It means that the border to France is enclosed, post carries on, business carries on as usual, and I think this is one of the reasons why the Allied army under Wellington and Blücher, especially because they're the ones who are based in Belgium at the moment, they don't cross the border, because that would be an act of war against France. It's a technicality, but you can see from the way that these people operate that they put a lot of truth or trust in their sort of diplomatic behaviour. It's one of the reasons I'm sure that another one would be that practically Wellington couldn't do it. The armies, after the an abdication the year before, they had been demobilised. There was troops that needed to be brought back, and it probably wasn't practical for them to actually stage an invasion, especially in the short period that Napoleon allows them. And with the news as well that Napoleon's come back, there was talk of troubles in Ireland. They're very they were supporters of Napoleon, and so it wasn't easy for them to extract troops from the UK. The army of the UK isn't necessarily the biggest, never has been. It's always been the Navy, really. They've always had a thing of, we'll do the Navy, the continent does the army. And so when I talk about allies, I talk, just to give you a heads up, I talk about then the people of the Congress of Vienna. We're talking Russia and Austria and Prussia and Britain. And when we get to doing the armies, I'll probably say British army. But what I mean by that is it was the army commanded by the British commander, the Duke of Wellington, and probably more than half of it was actually Belgium and Dutch or Brunswick. But if I called that an allied army, then we'd get confused. So I call the Wellington's army the British army, because it's the main contingent of that army was the British element. We are... So that looks like an interesting little island there. What is that? See if I can find... This looks like this place here, which is called Melon. So we're not too far now, we're about halfway. Probably just keep on flying along the river. It wasn't all clear as well whether what the public feeling back in the UK was about Great Britain, I suppose it was called at the time. The Whigs in Parliament were probably led by Samuel Whitbread. He was an MP. He called the Congress's declaration to be basically unconstitutional. He called it it wasn't going to be public justice. He said it would more likely be public vengeance. He believed that this declaration by the Congress of Vienna was basically condoning assassination. But it was meant to be something, a tool that the Allies could use to indicate to the French people that Napoleon's new regime was illegitimate, basically. So what it meant was, in practical terms, was the armies of the Prussia and the British, as I say, in Belgium, they are forced in a way to play a waiting game, and it kind of falls into Napoleon's hands because he's doing the same thing. But the British and the Prussians are going to try and wait for the Austrians and the Russians' army to get there. And it was estimated that the earliest that they were likely to get to the borders of France, on the eastern side of France, would be around about July. So Wellington, in a certain sense, is now playing this waiting game. So yeah, we're talking they're up there at number 3, and this likelihood that the Russians and the Austrians will likely approach from this eastern border here, probably around Strasbourg. Wellington and Blucher are here. They're to the south, southeast, southwest of Brussels. They I think it's been mentioned that Wellington was kind of keen to almost do his Portugal thing, where he would be retreating away from Napoleon, trying to find a good position to engage him, and at the same time bringing him back onto the Austrians and the Russians. So the race would be on later to who could muster the most troops as quickly as possible. But because the French, the supply lines of each army was different, the Prussians had a supply line that was towards Namur, I believe. It was out towards basically back towards Germany, the modern day Germany, and the British supply line was towards Antwerp, the port of Antwerp, but as I said, the Prussians was more towards Namur, and then on to this sort of Liège area. So there was two different supply lines approaching these armies. So we'll come on to what Napoleon does later, but what Wellington was thinking was that he was feeling that he wanted to pull almost back further towards his supply lines, open up Belgium a little bit more, and give him more time. But what happens is the Bourbon monarchy, they decide to leave. They actually leave the night before Napoleon arrives, and they travel to Lille here, and eventually they will set up their court in Ghent. So this puts Wellington under pressure to protect the capital of Belgium. He's got Belgian soldiers in his army. He needs them to stay loyal to him rather than to France. And these troops are also that had already fought for Napoleon, so he didn't quite trust them. So he's, in a sense, forced to hold Brussels, and therefore Brussels becomes his main sort of area of congregation for his army. And he puts his army down to this southwest area, south and southwest, mainly because he thinks his main concern of approach from France would be through Mons here. And so between Mons and Brussels is where Wellington will place his troops. Blücher, he has the Prussian troops, and they're more got cantonments more to the southeast of Brussels, and towards the Charleroi area, and a little bit further towards the border here. And you can see the way that is. It's kind of, they're almost suggesting that they feel that the main route to Brussels would be through Mons, and so Blücher almost gets a little bit too cocky and places his troops a little bit too further forward. And we can see when we get to the actual campaign how Napoleon is able to we can see what Napoleon's strategic plan is. You can see the sort of what's occurring in terms of the dispositions of the Allied forces in Belgium. But that is getting ahead of us a little bit. At the moment we're poodling along, and what I'll do is I'll just take a little break here, put a little musical interlude for you up, and when we come back we'll fly the rest of the route into Paris. So we'll see you in a minute.